everyone. To be able to bring you a little bit more up to date with what I'm doing with project planning and everything, I think the best way is to start with my Panda palette project pan. I will talk about the last year and this year, so hopefully after a while it all will make sense for you and for me as well. I'm so behind that it's hard to bring it all together in like logical way. So I have to go bit by bit, and hopefully you will have the whole picture after a couple of videos. In the last video I talked about my low buy, where I was in 2022, and I think first I will have to do my Panda palette, and then I can bring you back to end of 2022 and talk about this year. I hope it makes sense. We'll see how it goes. Okay, I will bring you to different views so you can see my palettes better. And yeah, let's go. Okay, let's start with 2022 Panda palette project pan. It was a Pantastic Ladies collab. Size matters, and I choose my 120 pounds palette to do that. I think it's one of my oldest. The lid is broken now, so it goes off, and you can take one part and take it out. So as you can see, there are lots of colors, and I don't think I will ever use this palette up completely, but I quite like few colors and I wanted to focus on the ones that I like, and yeah, just do what I can and see what I can do with this palette. But because the size, because of like this situation, it's not easy to use. So I focused on this shade. Like, I didn't finish any. Let's start with this. I didn't finish any of the eyeshadows from this palette last year. I focus on this. So this is a bit of like brownie, but with the red undertones. So I really like this shade. The pans are small, but still, like, I couldn't finish it, even using it for months, almost like every day. And I transferred 3 of the pink shades into my magnetic palette, so it's easier to use. So I don't have to reach for this one like every day. It's easier to use the shades that I choose for my looks, and going forward I'm going to do the same, which brings us to this year project pan. So going with the theme of this year project pan, I'm doing one of my oldest palettes, so I think it's the second or third after this one, but I'm also doing Better Together project pan. So I choose to combine this palette with my magnetic palette, which really works better together for me because it's much easier to use. I can choose a few shades from here and I can work on some other and create the looks that I want to create, because I'm not going to wear like all the blues or greens or whatever. Maybe sometimes for occasion, but not in everyday makeup. So I'm probably going to use up all this row and maybe a few of them, and some pinks and purples, maybe something from that orange, I'm not sure, but I'm going to franken it. We'll see. Let's go to my magnetic palette first, and then we'll talk about the like main one that I'm working on this year. So this is my magnetic everyday makeup palette. If you watch the video about my low buy, like the first one, I mentioned that I finished 3 eyeshadows, and yeah, so it was a dark brown was here, a salmon, something similar to what you can see, I'm not sure, just lighting and camera setting, but there's like a little bit left over of the salmon eyeshadow. This one was slightly lighter, so I finished those two. And there was also a purple eyeshadow in my 50 Shades of Purple project pan that I completely finished, and I used the pan to repress one of the shades from the magnetic palette. So this is a pink one. It was a bit darker, bit more bright, something similar like this, but with a bit of shimmer. But I frankened it so it's more like all over the lid, so I can use it more. This pan is quite shallow now because I repressed it a couple of times. Basically, I have the tendency to repress the eyeshadow every time I hit the pan. Okay, there's another one from that 120 eyeshadow palette. It's like darker pink with some shimmer, and this is more like matte, but it's slightly franken as well. So because this is quite bright, it will be more difficult to use up. I'm focusing on the pink eyeshadows because of my 50 pink before 50 project pan. So I still have a little bit more over the year to finish 50 pink products, and I hope I can achieve that goal. So there's another pink eyeshadow. I think it was originally L'Oreal one. I repressed it here, then I frankened it slightly. There's very light pink. Not sure if the camera will show it. It looks more white to me in the camera, but it's pink, light pink one. This one is just, I had a little bit of white eyeshadow here, and it was just dusted with the other ones, and I frankened it, and it turned out a little bit pinkish, but this is not the like one that I will count into my low buy bank or whatever like project. I have like a dusty pink eyeshadow here. It's okay, it's slightly more dusted now with some other eyeshadow, so I have to clean it before I can use it, but it's still like probably 3 uses for me, and I use it for setting my lids when I use some other pink eyeshadows. Other than that, okay, I finished this one probably this year. I finished this one, and those two are empty, but they don't count towards my low buy band because they were like something was franken here. And when I do my makeup, I like to have like one empty pan in case I'm mixing some eyeshadows, so I can like tap the brush in and mix it properly in a pan first before I put it on the lid. So there's another eyeshadow that I mentioned in my 2022 empties. So it was like champagne beige eyeshadow that I finished. This one is not empty yet. I still have several uses of like a little bit. I'm not sure if I can show you. Can you see? quite hard one and densely pressed, but it's like matte brown, and sometimes I use this shade in a crease. So this is Franken, but when I will use it up, I will count it towards my low buy because it was more like golden yellow shade that I used it, but I didn't love it. So now it's the shade that I can use like on an everyday basis. Okay, this one was finished. What was that? I don't remember. I have a cross. It's slightly dusted um, with the other shades, but because I have a cross, I know I finished it. After making this video, I'm going to put some other shades, some other shadows to replace the ones that I used up to make it more user-friendly for me. Okay, this one is purple, but when I repressed this shade, it bled a little bit into this, so it looks like there's something going on. That's fine, I can still use it. This was in my 50 Shades of Purple project pan. I repressed it and I hit pan again. This is the shade that I use for my eyebrows. It's lasting forever. It's Franken, but it's lasting forever. This is like slightly darker than champagne color. I don't know. It's not gold. It's not brown. Something in between. There is like a bit cooler brown with a bit of shimmer, but not too much. So I don't think it should be a problem to finish it soon because it's more like wearable for me this time of the year. I like to wear browns eyeshadows in the summer as well, especially when I go for like very easy, quick makeup look. Okay, and I think that's all about this palette. This is black. I use it as an eyeliner. This is another purple shade that I tried to use up in my 50 Shades of Purple project pan, but I didn't. Yeah, and this is a nice thing. This palettes came with this is a rubbery thing that when you do makeup, you can hold palette like this, and it makes the life easier. I really love these palettes. They're quite like heavy. They have that closing here. The mirror is good, but I have them for well over a decade now, I believe. And so yeah, they're a bit bitten, used, abused, but I love them. And I regret I didn't order more. I have, I don't know, 5 or 6, something like this, some in different colors. So let's go to this year palette. Okay, so this is a Revolution palette. I don't remember the name. I can't read it anymore because it's quite used, but it's one of my oldest ones. And not sure if you will be able to see the color story is more like dusty pinkish, something smoky. So I hit the pan on this one. It's a very small one, but I use it in my outer V, so I used a smaller brush and I target like one area. The most used shade at this moment is this one. I'm not sure if you will be able to see, but there's a dip coming. we can see it now, like with the shade from the light. So this is a deep forming here. This one is well used as well, but I tend to like swipe the brush all the way through. Those two I use for my crease. There's a slight dip forming. This is probably a little bit more used than this one. I think I used all of them. Yes. Those two I think I hardly ever use, but I go for some other shades quite frequently. But yeah, it's already October and I don't think I will be able to finish up any of those shades, but I'm hoping there are 3 pink eyeshadows that I'm going to be able to finish sometime next year, and they will count towards my 50 pink before 50 project pan. Okay, and because I don't have empty pan here, I'm using the lid to mix shades, or sometimes I like to work it into the brush, so I'm tapping it a little bit first before I put it on my lids. And let's talk about another 2 palettes that I'm working on. This one is Revolution Cream Blush palette. So packaging is not good quality, it's broken, it's even like broken. I'm not sure if you can see here. So I've been working on a cream blushes for the last, I don't know, 3 years I think. And what you can see here are the empty pans. This one is like a little bit more to use up, but okay. It's falling off even from this packaging. But I repressed them to my another magnetic palette, which is not great quality either. The mirror is okay. So what we have here, this one is the shade that I like to use in the summer. So it's slightly more tan. It's still blush, it's not a bronzer, but it works for me best in the summer. I moved it here. This one was a bright pink one, and I frankened it slightly because it was hardly any left, so it was really hard to not repress but melt it into this pan. So I frankened it with remaining of my Franken lipstick. So now I'm trying to use up completely one of the pink products. And this one is more like mauvey pink, that I really like to use this time of the year. But I'm going to focus on this one because it's maybe a couple more weeks of use and this will be done. So we can put this away. The rest of the products are powder products. So this is a Franken bronzer that it's probably on the lighter side. I like to use it during winter and spring. It's I used up quite a lot of it, so the pan is quite shallow now. Like what is remaining here, I just repress it because it's easier with the big brush that I use for bronzer. This is another Franken bronzer. It has a pan. It was probably repressed a couple of times again. This is Franken highlighter, the same as this one. It looks different, slightly different, because this is more like used, and yeah, so the surface looks different. So these are my two Franken blushes, but I use this one more in a crease since I used up one of my shades from Magnetic palette. Sometimes I use both on my cheeks and my lids, but it's mostly used as an eyeshadow. This is another Franken bronzer. I know it looks the same in camera, but it looks different on the skin. So this is more matte. This is a highlighter. I'm not sure, can you see? Probably not with this light. So the bronzer is not very dark, which I like, and it's why it's Franken, so I can use it like every day, quick makeup. And those two pans are remaining of one of the highlighters from the Revolution Trio. I used up one last year, like 2022, and I used up one beginning of this year, but this one is much darker, so I was hoping to use it up in the summer more like a shiny bronzer, but I only managed to use up like one of the pans because it was spread across three of them. The pans, when I tried to depot them from the original palette, it turned up they're not magnetic, so it was easier for me to repress it here, and they almost all of them broke. So anyway, it was easier to repress them to this palette, so I can have everything in one palette. Yeah, the camera really doesn't show the true colors here. All of four of them look the same. They look completely different on the skin. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can edit it the way so you can see the true colors, but it doesn't matter. So in terms of my low buy bank, when I finish those two, it will count towards my low buy, because although this is Franken, it will be end of the product that I have originally, and I added some more to this one. The same with this, but I wouldn't count this one towards my low buy, and I wouldn't count this one towards my low buy. The highlighter, I still have a lot of highlighter left. It came broken in a packaging, so I decided to give it a go first. Highlighters are very hard to use up for me. I don't think I will ever. No, I used up a couple in my life, but it took years. So I will see what I can do. I will try to make some damage into this one. It's slightly Franken as well, because it was perfect in the summer, but now when my tan is gone, it was a tiny bit too dark, and I dropped my highlighter from Revlon that was a little bit too light and too like goldeny whitish. So I add a tiny bit of the Revlon one to make it a bit lighter in the color, and now works perfectly for me. I use it every day. I love it. I repressed it probably not even a week ago, and I already have a little bit of dip forming here. It's not huge, but maybe there is a chance that I can use this little pan until end of the year. We'll see. We'll see. So I think that's all when it comes to my palette project pans. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you in the next one, that I will be maybe rambling a little bit less, trying to explain a little bit less, and just show you what I used up. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye.